Okay, welcome to another episode of Geek Shop. I'm Chetan. With me today is Chris. Say hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
And Derek. Say hi, Derek.
Hi, Derek.
So, Derek, what are we talking about? Or Chris, what are we talking about?
I'm sorry. So my subject matter is brought on by what I'm reading right now. And right now I'm reading old Flash comic books. Probably from it might be from the 60s, maybe even the 50s, early stuff. And what I noticed about these comic books, Iris West, I believe her last name is. Iris
Yes.
is a horrible human being. She is evil and mean and just so mean to well, not Flash, because she loves
Barry Allen,
Flash,
yeah.
but she is, if you read these old comic books, she is absolutely horrible to Barry. Loves Flash, but is even will say stuff like, "Oh, Barry, you're slow like a turtle. You're not as good and sexy and saving the world like Flash." And it's just like, just horrible human being. Would dump him all the time,
So,
make him
so,
beg. So I
so
thought
before we get into more trouble, you're saying spouses are bad?
no, I'm saying Iris West is a bad spouse.
Okay.
But I thought we could sort of talk about partners of other comic book of heroes. And
But
just
you're right.
sort of,
I do remember Chris and I briefly talked about this a couple of weeks back, and I do remember Iris West being, yes, yeah, she
she's
went
evil.
overboard. Yeah,
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 for
she's
sure.
always putting him down.
Yeah. And
But
so I
then
was thinking,
again,
like,
wasn't Lois Lane was like that also to Clark Kent?
I mean, she wasn't as
Yeah.
bad though. Like, I think she sort of like didn't like there was sort of the idea that, oh well, you're no Superman, Clark, but I don't think it was as bad because a lot of times Clark would also like Superman would make Clark more awkward in order to make
Yes,
sure that he wouldn't be
yes.
related to it. Whereas Barry doesn't really do that. He's just being
No,
himself.
Barry wasn't like a nerdy, whatever, clumsy guy. He was just a normal guy. And yes, you're right. Iris did put him down.
Yeah, but Lois would sort of be like, well, there'd be occasional quips like, Clark would say something like, oh, well, maybe I could, do this thing, and Lois would, well, you're no Superman, but it wouldn't be like as vicious as that. But I mean, it's
Yes.
so I don't think it was as bad, but I do agree there is sort of that idea in comic books of like you make the superheroes sort of alter ego so nerdy that, and the best way to do that is to have the girlfriend pile on him a little bit about how bad
I
he is.
remember in the time you're reading The Flash, that was John Broome was the writer, I think,
I'm
wasn't
not
it?
sure. I don't remember.
John Broome and I think Carrie Bates wrote it later.
Okay.
I'm a Flash fan, so I'm trying to remember who wrote it at that time. So
I'm not a huge Flash fan, so that's why I'm stepping into this
Just all
this
of a
thing is
sudden, like, oh my God, Iris is the worst.
exactly. I just read through that, like, because later Iris, like when you look at modern day sort of Iris, particularly when she knows he's the Flash, because a lot of the Flash, part of the idea is that, it's not as much a secret identity. There's a little bit of there's a few stories where it's like, oh, everybody knows Barry's the Flash. It's like just known thing. But it's like, so there's the modern day Iris is a little nicer, but the old fashioned Iris is just horrible, you
So what
know?
about you, Derek? Do you remember any supporting characters in comics, wives, husbands that are, you know, brutal to their counterpart?
Um, for some reason, it's not a spouse or anything, but like the easiest because I was read more Spider-Man. I found that the people involved with Peter Parker's life, if they liked Peter Parker, they hated Spider-Man. That went for Gwen Stacy, Betty Brant.
Yeah.
Um, And if you loved Spider-Man, you hated Peter Parker, and that's kind of Flash Thompson,
Yes.
It's
which
true.
wasn't a relationship. But
Yeah.
I seem
yeah,
to
I
remember
think
Aunt May not liking Spider, like being afraid of Spider-Man in several issues. Like,
yeah,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of there was a lot of Aunt May being just absolutely terrified of Spider-Man. I think Mary Jane, like who was Spider-Man's wife for a lot of years, I think she was the only one that was cool with Spider-Man and all right with Peter, like
But
in the
then again,
same.
remember, this is when I was reading a John Romita run on Spider-Man. Wasn't Black Cat like Spider-Man, but then like Peter Parker?
Yes, yes, that was the whole thing. Like she was absolutely repulsed when he took off his mask.
Yes, that yes, yes.
Actually, Ultimate Spider-Man by Bendis and Bagley took it a step further because that Spider-Man was a teenager, and I guess she was meant to be early to mid 20s. She was so offended that like she was feeling attracted towards him, takes off his mask, and like 15-year-old pervy teen. She actually threw up. She actually threw up on him.
Wow.
Wow. It's funny
Took it
because
to
Spider-Man's the only one that has like a complicated thing about this, where you have the sort of the character not not liking Spider-Man as opposed to not liking like the standard one in like the early, particularly like DC seems to sort of have this with Flash and Superman. Maybe there's a few others where it's sort of like the partner or even the family members sort of idolize the hero, and then the guy is like, well, you're just whoever. But Spider-Man really sort of flipped the book on that, where they're sort of like, well, what if the people don't like the Spider-Man but like the kid? That's a really interesting take if you think about it.
yeah, and
I think
it
on
seemed to
your,
go.
oh no, go for it.
I was going to say, like, I only come across a few examples where like people in Spider-Man's world both like Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Mary Jane being one. I think Robbie Robertson maybe being the other. But I'm trying to think of who hates Peter Parker and Spider-Man, like obviously outside of anyone that's been a Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Well, J. Jonas Jameson didn't really like anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's consistently kind of a jerk to everyone.
Everyone, yeah, everyone.
Yeah.
So yes, you're right.
He
You're
hates
right.
Spider-Man but disrespects Peter Parker.
Yes,
Yes.
that's the best way to put it. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yes.
it's like, and so one of the things we thought, Derek, one of the reasons we thought we'd have you on for this one is because you're a fan of Savage Dragon, which has a really big family dynamic. And so I'm wondering if is there any sort of like weird uh, dynamics in that because it's so family oriented to some degree. Like, he has a girlfriend and has a family.
Um, he actually has a wife and a family, like 4 kids.
Yeah.
I think 3 of them are triplets, but um, I think well, it's a little weird because from what I read, like in the current books, his wife Maxine actually has a bit of a um, addiction,
Okay.
and every once in a while, um, threesomes or some bizarre sex adventures can happen.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's kind of a like it's something I haven't been able to like fully wrap my head around.
Yeah.
But she's like like a very open about her um sexuality kind of girl, and sometimes he's on board, but every once in a while there's like lines that even he won't kind of cross. He's
But
not
what is
as
she?
comfortable.
What is she as a character towards Savage Dragon? Is she like Iris West, or is she like Mary Jane Watson or Lois Lane?
I Yeah, she's more like the like Lois Mary Jane. Like she's never because Dragon doesn't have like a secret identity. He's always like Dragon.
Yeah.
Um, he, um, she's one that'll like defend him without question. It's not like, oh, Malcolm, you're just a meek accountant. You're no dragon. Like because there's not that dual
Yeah.
identity. Like a lot of that is kind of sidestepped.
See, that's where it makes it interesting because, yeah, Savage Dragon Yeah, there's no dual identity, so you don't have the conflict.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. It's like you can think of like Fantastic Four with Reed and Sue. They're married.
Yes,
It's like it's not. There's nothing weird because they know it's open.
they know.
Yeah,
But
Yeah, like
on the other hand, think about someone like I'm going back to the 80s when I used to read the comic Wonder Woman. When Wonder Woman was Diana Prince, she'd be in awe of Steve Trevor.
yeah.
Who's this, buff, military guy in command and everything. And she's, basically in his shadows.
So if I'm wrong, but Steve Trevor crashed near the island, right? Like that's the original
Yes,
story.
that's
And
the
so
original story.
it's like for me, it's the Steve Trevor thing is always a little. I always have problems with the Steve Trevor storyline because she sort of lives forever and continues forever, but they very specifically make him a World War II pilot, and so sometimes it just gets confusing.
It does. It does. But
oh
what I was saying was, when you look at the comics, when she's in her civilian identity, she's like the nerdy, the female Clark Kent, but she's in awe of Steve Trevor.
It's true.
yeah, the only thing
You
that
know,
always strikes me as weird though is when you have like your Bruce Banners that are normal size until you get the Hulk or big, or someone like Superman who in some versions kind of fakes his posture to look a little more slouch and to look a little more
yes.
like short. I don't think Wonder Woman has or does any of that. Like Diana Prince basically looks like Wonder Woman in business attire.
Although she does hair up
But
and
still,
glasses.
yeah, Hera, yeah,
Hair
Glasses.
up
That's
and
glasses.
glasses.
I don't
Yes.
want to shock you guys, but I'm the same person.
Yeah. What? Oh, hold on.
Where'd Derek go?
Yeah, yeah.
But well, the only other thing is too, like Wonder Woman is what, 5'10", 6 foot? Like out in the
No, but
out in the regular world, like still
Yeah.
like a 6 foot, like
when they drew her, you have to remember it's like Clark Kent. They, slouching, and Wonder Woman. They drew, even though whatever she's whatever six something. When they drew her, they, when she's in her civilian identity, they drew her a little bit smaller and thinner.
oh, of course they did.
And especially in the 80s, anywhere, 80s and past that, they drew her that way. In the 90s and stuff, I think they made her more buff and everything. But before, she was more like Clark Kent, nerdy type of a character.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
But
I think from the George Perez on kind of after, they haven't done too much with her having like a secret identity per se.
Yes, yes.
yeah, I think
Like I think they've gotten the Diana Prince thing, but everyone around is still aware that
Now, I'm going to bring up another character, and this is a controversial thing that was happening in the 70s and 80s. Ant-Man. Do you remember the character Ant-Man in the comics?
yep.
that was
He was a
abuse.
drunken wife beater.
Yeah.
Yes, I actually, oh God, off camera, I got a funny story how I got that, where the infamous backhanding issue, I actually have that in my Avengers collection. Like, this is one of those landmark issues. This is right up there with the end of the Dark Phoenix saga or Days of Future Past. This is one of those good stories
Yeah.
And I remember
where,
when they did the Ultimate Avengers, I remember they kind of kept him kind of in that same type of aggressive wife beater type of character.
oh, horribly, like the original Avengers. There's but like it looks like if you read the original one where Hank Pym hits Wasp, it kind of like it can be interpreted as kind of an accent, like flailing around. Oh, sorry, or it can be treated as
No, I think it was
like a hit. Oh
more.
no,
I think it
but
was more. Yeah.
But even if you look, like
but
I was reading a few old Avengers comics recently, and Wasp is generally just treated horribly. Like sort of like this
oh
thing
yeah,
of
that
you
woman
don't know
does.
what you're doing. You're just fangirl thing or whatever. And it's just like,
Oh yeah, no, she's treat. Oh, you're right. I'm surprised they didn't tell her to go to the kitchen and make a sandwich.
yeah, like there's a lot
Like
of
that's
Avengers stuff where she's the
Yeah.
she's openly treated poorly by a lot of people.
Oh, exactly. But the ultimate, what Chetan was talking about, the ultimate version, they took the abusive part. Like he beat the ever, like
Yeah,
hospitalized her,
Hmm.
and even and even
sprayed her with
I
bug
think
spray, and
I think even Captain America said something about you know didn't really defend her, which was like interesting because it was just like whatever you're stand up
I
and
he did defend her. I actually have the first two
I have to
Ultimates on my
reread those
bookcase over there.
stories. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
same here. I haven't.
but it's like he did beat the crap out of like told Ant or Hank to go Giant Man mode, and Captain America beat the crap out of him. But then that really pissed her off. Like, and Wasp and Captain America were dating, but she kind of
Yes, that's it.
had a
Yes,
still went back to Hank on the side,
yeah.
and it's like it was some like upon reading it now, like I love the Brian Hitch art in those stories. Like that was kind of
It
one of
was
those
Mark
Mark
Miller, I
Millar
think,
writing.
wrote.
Mark Miller,
Yeah,
yes, I always say Millar, but
Millar,
Mark Miller
Millar,
writing.
Miller. I don't know how you pronounce it. So,
But yeah, he
but
no, he wrote it, and like again when it was coming out, like, oh, this is such a interesting take. But now I got like 20 odd years to reflect. I'm like, wow, all of these characters are kind of jerks.
Yeah.
so
Like
you have
Gary,
Iris West. Iris West, being completely rude to Hank Pym, who's like a wife beater. It's
yeah,
like you know, you don't really, interesting supporting cast. I
Yeah.
mean, like you said, Hulk and some of the other characters like Fantastic Four, Savage Dragon, you don't see much of that. I'm trying to remember any other characters that were like that.
Well, if you think about it, Iron Man, he wasn't married, but he was a pretty horrible human being for a while.
He was an alcoholic because remember
Yeah.
that whole storyline where they
Yeah.
had
oh yeah,
his whole drinking problems.
Yeah. And there's a lot of
But
characters. There's a lot of superheroes that are just remain single too. And I think maybe that's
yes,
because they, would be horrible if they had somebody with them. And I mean, the
but on the
best
other,
dysfunctional relationship we can talk about is Harlequin and Joker.
yes.
oh my God, that is probably at least a few theses for a few geeky psychology students.
Yeah.
That's what another same family. I was going to mention Batman and Catwoman. Did they have any? I haven't read. I read some of a lot of the 80s and 70s Batman and Catwoman stories. I haven't read a lot of new ones. What their relationship is like.
Me neither. I again watching a lot of the animated series, it was kind of a weird one because Batman knew Catwoman and Selena Kyle were the same,
Yeah.
but Selena didn't know that Bruce Wayne was Batman. So Bruce Wayne would be trying to get into a relationship with Selena Kyle, knowing full well, but Selena's like, "You're a nice guy, Bruce, but you're no Batman."
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think I think. Sorry.
I was going to say it's interesting how relationships get built into comic books in general. Like we're just talking about this, and like the complicated relationships are intense. Like it's and
No, but it works because it makes it's it brings out more of a personal side to the main character because for example, like you mentioned with Flash, you see the other side of it. He's running fast, fighting the rogues gallery, and winning. But on the other hand, you see his life story, and he's not a loser, but he's not being treated well.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
or well, in Spider-Man's probably the best example. Like,
Spider-Man would be yes.
yeah,
oh, like oh boy, I got a date with Black Cat. I just got to keep my mask on.
yeah. That's definitely it. So that's it. We should probably wrap this up because I think this is a good short
Yeah,
episode. And I think we've touched on spouses and mates and uh, partners of comic book characters. And I think there's probably more out there. You could talk about the X-Men and that entire crazy thing of putting a bunch of teenagers in a house together and seeing what happens. But that's like
actually,
that's its
Oh
own
dear.
no,
story.
no, we
Oh,
didn't
that's
talk
like
about we didn't talk about Cyclops and Jean Grey and the White Witch or whatever her name is.
White Queen,
Emma
yeah.
White Queen,
Emma Frost.
Yeah,
Emma Frost, yeah.
Emma
Yeah.
Frost. That's it. Yes, that's for another time.
Yeah, I think the
Oh,
mutants
yeah.
we could mutant relationships like and the weird Jubilee Logan thing is a little weird.
Oh, and
Okay,
well, which
I
also
didn't even
goes
know
back
about
to
that. So okay,
the weird Wolverine Kitty Pride thing too.
Just generally
okay, this is
Wolverine
a
in
good way.
general with everybody.
This is a good way to end the episode because then I didn't even know about that stuff. So
I don't.
um,
Well, yeah. When it gets to X-Men stuff, we could probably do a series of episodes on
yes,
relationship, and we're probably going to have to take a little bit of time and get some reading in. I just recently reread the start of the Cyclops White Queen stuff, but it's not the first time Cyclops has had impure thoughts about telepaths that weren't Jean Grey.
End of episode. I think we're good.
End of it. All right.
yes. Okay, well, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next
Thanks for
time.
having me.
Take care.
You too. See you soon.
Bye.